Hello there, and welcome back to the neighborhood. We're looking at HIFIMAN's EF600 thanks to Apos Audio today. This is a rather unique combination DAC amplifier from HIFIMAN that comes in at an MSRP of $799 USD. I mean, look at the shape of this thing. There's not much else like it on the market. Let's get into it. So the EF600 has a rather unique design. It's a DAC amplifier that doubles as a headphone stand. Build-wise, it's a U-shaped metal plate with a plastic shell in between that houses the electronics and supports the headphone. The shell gets warm, and unfortunately, it also is prone to some interference from cell phones and the like due to what I presume is a lack of shielding. I also worry about the warmth a bit, in that maybe it would break down your pads over time a bit more. But perhaps that fear is somewhat unfounded. But I figured I'd mention it nevertheless. Dimensions of this unit measure roughly 4 inches wide by 5¼ inches deep and 11 inches tall. Even with my monitor raised as high as it can go at my desk, the tower of the EF600 still had to sit in front of the monitor to fit on my desk as it failed to clear the top of the EF600. It would be a bit tight, but I think that if it was an inch shorter, it would clear. And I would suggest to HIFIMAN that while I like the headphone stand design concept in theory, I do wish it could have been implemented in a more compact manner. But if you have some space for something like this on your desk, it is pretty handy. There are 2 main buttons on the front. The left button cycles between high gain and low gain with oversampling and non-oversampling versions of each. And the right button selects the various inputs on the back. There's also a rectangular volume knob in the middle of the tower, and XLR balanced and 6.35mm unbalanced outputs at the bottom. I know some people have been critical of the volume pot on this one, but it didn't really bother me that much, other than there's a bit of give and play to it, especially when turning down the volume, that makes the adjustments a little bit less than precise at times. This was compounded by the fact that this was a pretty powerful amplifier, and even headphones that I wouldn't consider to be super sensitive remained somewhere between 6 and 8 o'clock for most of my listening time, as 9 o'clock was pretty loud. Even on the low gain setting, I prefer to run some headphones unbalanced rather than balanced, as it seemed to allow for a more precise adjustment of the volume at times. I didn't even have to push the DT880 balanced to get good sound, but the Argons did require it. HIFIMAN only reports 5.12 watts per channel of balanced output, but they wanted to build an amp capable of driving their most high-demanding loads, like their Susvara and HE6 for example, and I think ultimately they have accomplished that. The back of the EF600 features a number of inputs and outputs, including RCA inputs and outputs, balanced XLR inputs and outputs, and USB-B, USB-C, and coaxial inputs. There's even an antenna for Bluetooth connection, which can support LDAC and aptX HD. But unfortunately, both Wi-Fi and Ethernet connections are missing from the EF600, or this would have been even a more versatile device. The DAC itself is an R2R design that HIFIMAN calls their Himalaya Pro, which has received the 2022 VGP Gold Technology Award in Japan. And at this price point, it sounds really good. I'm not exactly sure what is happening here with the oversampling modes, as the manual wasn't provided, and despite some research, it doesn't really seem to be documented anywhere. But in any case, I felt that it always sounded best on the NOS, or non-oversampling setting, anyhow. Still, the question remains, is it converting everything to DSD, or something else perhaps? If you know, let the community know in the comments below. Nevertheless, to me, the overall sound here sounds more like a Cirrus Logic chip than it does a traditional R2R. Global sonics are decently clean, airy, and slightly euphonic. There's a bit of an upper treble emphasis, but nothing goes too far to be harsh or assaultive to my ears. At $799, given both its DAC performance and amplifier power, it's a definite value buy here. Still, it's not the bassiest DAC either, and errs on the side of a tight low end, which is a bit lean and rolled in its low and sub-bass character. Even so, this is tastefully done, and I really like the overall sound signature of this thing. It's crisp, slightly dry, but also nimble. With an above-average separation, outstanding imaging, and a delightful dimensionality. It's not quite as good as my reference Goldnote DS10 Plus DAC with regard to resolution and clarity, that is, but at a fraction of the price, it gets you a lot of the way there. The DAC was put to its test not only with its internal amplifier, but also the Tron signature amplifier, the Dark Voice 336, the Musical Paradise MP301, and some others. But even paired with the most revealing amps, this thing held its own. In addition to using it with a variety of headphones, like the Meze Empyrean, Aria Stealth, Aria Organic, HE1000 Stealth, HD8XX, Emuteaks, DT880 Special Editions, and the R70X. I also hooked it up as the DAC in my main speaker system, featuring the Wolfgang Lagne Sohn loudspeaker. These tend to be pretty unveiling, and even in this system, the Himalaya Pro DAC performed well. From all outputs tested, including Bluetooth, coaxial, and USB, that is. But I'll also note that it's here where its unique character and sound signature really stood out, emphasizing its crispy, airy, and slightly lean presentation. I wouldn't want to leave it in this particular system forever, but I did enjoy the listening session and my time with it there. But I enjoyed it even more in my secondary system as the DAC with my Gershman Acoustic Studio 2 monitors, powered by a PS Audio Sprout 100. In this system, with the EF600, the final outcome was very neutral sounding, and the Studio 2's bottom-end emphasis helped balance out the EF600's low-end leanness. With IEMs, the performance of this amplifier varied. With most IEMs that used balanced armatures or more sensitive drivers, I was able to pick up some noise, even on low gain. But with less sensitive dynamics, it was sometimes quiet enough for unaffected playback. For example, it was too noisy to perform well with the Kiwi Ears Orchestra Lite, but was relatively silent when used with the Moondrop Lan and Blonde Jojo. Even so, the dynamic-driven Moondrop Kato still exhibited a mild undercurrent of noise with the EF600. So use with IEMs may be hit or miss depending on the in-ear monitor's sensitivity, but I also think the EF600 was more intended for use as a DAC or headphone amplifier than it was designed for use with in-ears. With that said, when it worked, it did work well, like the Blonde Jojo, which overachieved with the EF600. In the end, I think the HIFIMAN mostly did what it set out to do with the EF600. It produced a capable sounding and solid performing DAC amp combo that is not only powerful enough to play well with and power all of the headphones within its line, but also many others out there as well. I seriously don't think there was a headphone that I tried off this thing that I didn't enjoy. Even so, it's definitely a device that's intended for use as a DAC or with headphones, and is a bit too overpowered to rely on with IEMs, at least all the time. Yet, although it doesn't have a touchscreen, Ethernet capabilities, or MQA availability, like the FIO R7 that I recently reviewed, as an all-in-one, it's certainly more powerful, sounds consistently better, and functions better from an ease-of-use perspective. Still, it's not a perfect unit, as it does have some shielding issues, a less than precise volume control, and is a bit too tall for my liking. Perhaps, HIFIMAN can heed the words of reviewers like this one, and fix these issues prior to the next round of production, as HIFIMAN has also been known to make silent revisions to their products over time. Nevertheless, if I was looking for an all-in-one at this price point to save space on my desk, as things stand right now, I might land on this one. Thanks to Apos Audio for sending the HIFIMAN EF600 into the channel for review. I'll leave a link to their link for the EF600 along with all other links to the channel in the description below. Please use them if you'd like to support the channel and the hard work that it does to bring the most accurate reviews on YouTube to you. And if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing and dropping a like on this video to help it reach other audio lovers out there as well. And with that, thanks for watching, and I'm out for now.